Our fermented supplements are unique to Green Juju. There is nothing like it in the industry. We did this because it's the best way to provide probiotics for your dog and cat. Wild fermentation is a way for us to mimic the natural bacteria in nature. We do this by putting our ingredients into a salt brine, which lowers the pH, which then the natural bacteria actually start to flourish and grow within the food. And that process is actually initiated by those bacteria eating the food for your dog or cat. So that pre-processes it and makes all of the nutrients easier to digest, and it also creates new nutrients, new organic acids, new enzymes, new vitamins, and those things are called postbiotics. As a result of this process, your dog or cat is going to get tons of probiotics and happy yeast that will contribute to overall immune health and whole body wellness.
First, we're going to start talking about BAM's digestive support, formerly known as BAM's beets.
So BAM's digestive support is made of beets and purple cabbage. So we wild ferment the beets and purple cabbage, and then we add a little bit of the brine back to it to get kind of a paste, very scoopable consistency. So some of the benefits are it is wild fermented, so you have hundreds of different species of probiotics and friendly yeast. It is full of antioxidants and vitamins and minerals. It's also, purple cabbage is wonderful for the gut lining as far as strengthening that. The other thing that's really interesting about this product is fermentation actually takes away some of the negatives that the food might have to begin with. So some people might actually think that they don't want to feed a lot of beets because of the sugar content. Well, those bacteria or probiotics actually eat the sugar in the beets, and so this will have no to residual sugar. This also reduces the oxalate content as well. So you kind of get the best of both worlds in that sense. So Lewis inflammatory support is golden paste, and golden paste is when you combine turmeric with coconut oil. And the reason why you do that is because turmeric is very fat soluble, meaning you need fat to actually digest it fully. The other thing you need is something to sort of activate the turmeric. And most people use, say, black pepper or something like that, which animals can be very sensitive to. So we use wild fermentation. And what happens is the active ingredient in turmeric is called curcumin. And in this case, those bacteria that we wild ferment it with eat the curcumin for you and turn it into the correct form to just go straight into your dog or cat's bloodstream and be the most effective way. So this is the most efficient way to get those anti-inflammatory and those antioxidant compounds into your dog or cat. So the wild fermented mushroom probiotic is completely unique to Green Juju. It actually didn't exist in the human or the pet supplement world to begin with. So we invented this concept. So it was invented in my kitchen. It took me about a good 5 or 6 tries as an experienced fermenter to get it right. And that's the interesting thing about mushrooms. It's not an easy ferment if you're doing wild fermentation. So it was a really cool process because once I got it right at home, I could take it up to our farmer that we work with who does fermentation, and then we could scale it up and get it into a pet store for you guys. The probiotics that come from this, you'll get hundreds of different species, and they're completely dependent on the production of that specific batch, meaning the probiotics will change depending on the mushroom, depending on the soil that the mushrooms were in, depending on the time of year it was fermented, depending also even on the animals that John specifically has on his farm during that time. So you are going to get different probiotics in every bottle, and even as it sits in your refrigerator for those 30 days, the probiotic content will change because some of them will start to take over and you'll get more of this one, and even by the week that will change. So even as it sits in your refrigerator, you're going to be getting a more diverse probiotic profile. So this is really going back to nature and getting those probiotics that are from the farm or from the forest.
So we took a really cool trip to visit the farm where these are grown last year. You want to tell us about it?
Yes, so we source our mushrooms from the oldest certified organic mushroom farm in the country, which has been in operation for over 100 years. And they have an amazing soil program. So what they do is they take organic food waste from local organic farmers and they compost that soil. And once that is done, they grow the mushrooms in the soil, and then the mushrooms add more nutrients to that soil, and then they give that soil back to the farmers for free. So it's kind of like a cyclical program, which again, going back to some of the other things we make, adds to the soil in central Pennsylvania. So we get all of our mushrooms from that farm, and all of them are the same mushrooms that you'd find in like an organic co-op or an organic grocery store, and is just the fruiting body of the mushrooms as opposed to the mycelium.
So again, this goes back to that concept of the better soil that you grow in, the more nutrients you're going to get in the food you're growing, which then is going to the product that we're making that you give to your pet. The great thing about all three of these supplements is that since they're fermented, the feeding amounts are very, very small, making them all really economical products. They all last for 30 days in the fridge. They are all good for cats and dogs.
So you just thaw them out and scoop and serve and keep in your fridge. Follow the serving suggestion on the packaging, but it is just food. So if you have an older animal that is dealing with more inflammation, you can always increase the dose and get maybe even a better result. So if a customer is walking into the store, where do we recommend each of these products?
BAM's digestive support is going to be my go-to for gut health, for adding fiber to the diet, and for just general digestive support. The Lua's inflammatory support / golden paste is going to be, I think, the way to go for any joint issues or any inflammatory conditions like skin or something like that. And then with the wild fermented mushroom probiotic, I think that's going to be your go-to for immune support. Although I think all of these have a place for overall maintenance, prevention, rotation. It doesn't have to be a specific issue. They all have a great place in the diet at any time. Something that I love about these supplements is that it reminds me of how I started this to begin with. I had my own health journey alongside of my dog Bailey, and I started to learn to reach for turmeric instead of Advil when I had inflammation things. When I felt like foggy-headed, I was eating beets and they would help me feel better because it was helping me detoxify. And so I resonated so much with reaching for these things and how they helped me. And now we get to use them in products and help dogs that have similar issues.
In using products like Green Juju, what you're trying to do is be preventative in your healthcare, and you're trying to actually reduce the chances that your dog will have joint issues or that your cat will have liver issues. And so the way to do that is to rotate in some of these supplements that are just going to reduce inflammation generally in those heavy areas. We know you have a lot of questions because these are very beneficial products, but there's a lot to explain. So please feel free to reach out to us over email or Instagram DM, and Kelly and I will get back to you.